Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Before we begin, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us create more stories that improve your English and inspire you every day. Now let's start our journey into time management for productivity. Emma wakes early on a Monday morning with a clear goal. She wants to learn English, advance at her job, and still have time for her friends and hobbies. She lives in a busy city, and her schedule often feels like a puzzle. She pours herself a cup of coffee and sits at her small kitchen table. Her planner lies open in front of her, with colorful tabs marking different areas of her life: work, learning, personal. Today, she decides to treat each area with respect, giving each its moment of focus. First, she lists her top 3 tasks for work: prepare the monthly report, attend the team meeting at 10 a.m., and send feedback to her junior colleague. Under learning, she writes, complete 1 chapter in her English textbook, watch a 10-minute English video, and practice speaking with a language partner. For personal life, she lists, take a 20-minute walk in the park, call her friend Anna, and read for pleasure before bedtime. Having clear, short lists makes her feel in control rather than overwhelmed. By 8 a.m., Emma is at her desk. She starts with the monthly report. She blocks 2 hours on her calendar labeled Work Focus. During this block, she turns off notifications on her phone and computer. This simple step reduces interruptions. She finds that without the constant buzz of incoming messages, she can write faster and with deeper concentration. After 90 minutes, she stands up, stretches, and has a quick snack. The report is already half done. Next, at 10 a.m. sharp, she attends the team meeting. Emma practices active listening. She takes notes in English, asking her questions clearly and briefly. When her turn comes, she uses simple but correct sentences. I reviewed the sales data from last week, and I have 2 suggestions. By focusing on clarity, she feels confident speaking, and her colleagues appreciate her direct style. At 11 a.m., Emma moves on to her learning block. She has set aside 60 minutes for English study. She opens her textbook and reviews Chapter 5. The vocabulary is about describing feelings and routines. She reads each new word aloud, then writes 2 example sentences. For instance, for the word achieve, she writes, I hope to achieve my learning goals this month. Writing helps her remember. Then she switches to watching a short video in English about time management tips. She listens for key phrases like prioritize, block time, and set boundaries. After watching, she pauses and repeats 3 sentences from the video, improving her pronunciation. At 12:30 p.m., Emma takes a break and eats a healthy lunch. She gives herself 30 minutes away from screens. She goes to the balcony, enjoys fresh air, and thinks about how the morning went. Reflecting on what worked well makes her more likely to repeat these habits. After lunch, Emma has a quick 15-minute conversation with her language partner, Marco, over a video call. They practice speaking about their morning routines. Marco asks, what is your biggest challenge in managing time? Emma replies, sometimes I try to do too many things at once. Now I make small plans for each hour. This real conversation boosts both her confidence and fluency. By 2 p.m., Emma returns to work for her final focus block. She sends the feedback to her colleague, edits a presentation for tomorrow, and organizes her inbox. Importantly, she sets a timer. 45 minutes of deep work, then a 10-minute rest. This rhythm keeps her energy steady. At 4 p.m., Emma closes her laptop. She feels proud. She completed all 3 work tasks, advanced her English learning, and even had a social chat. Now it's time for her personal life block. She changes into comfortable shoes and heads to the park. Walking briskly for 20 minutes, she thinks in English. I'm walking to clear my mind. I feel relaxed and ready for the evening. Back home, Emma makes a cup of tea and calls Anna. They laugh, share stories about their day, and practice small talk in English. By focusing on one area at a time, Emma enjoys each moment fully without guilt or stress. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support makes these stories possible, and each one helps you practice English while you enjoy a good tale. Now settle in comfortably, and let's continue our story about mastering time. How to balance work, learning, and personal life. Remember, listening closely will boost your English skills and inspire you to organize your day. Emma's alarm rang at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. The morning sun was just beginning to cast a golden light across her small apartment. She stretched in bed, feeling both tired and excited. Each new day offered a chance to practice English and become more productive. She rose, poured a glass of water, and then sat at the edge of her bed. With her mind still waking up, she reviewed her three main life areas: work, learning, and personal. Yesterday worked well because she kept clear lists, used dedicated blocks of time, and took short breaks. Today, she wanted to refine her strategy. In the living room, Emma's desk faced a large window overlooking the city's rooftops. She switched on a small lamp and opened her planner, a simple notebook with sections marked by colored tabs: green for work, blue for learning, and yellow for personal. She wrote down her top priorities for the day. 1. Work. Prepare a presentation draft for Friday's client meeting. Answer 5 important emails. Collaborate with her colleague Jack on the new marketing plan. 2. Learning. Finish Chapter 6 of her English course book. Watch a 15-minute English news clip. Write a short journal in English about her goals. 3. Personal. Practice yoga for 20 minutes. Meet her friend Sarah at the cafe at 7 p.m. Read a chapter of her favorite novel before bed. Having clear, succinct goals made Emma's heart feel lighter. She knew exactly what to tackle. Instead of drifting from one task to another, she could focus, finish, and then move on without guilt. By 6:30 a.m., Emma was ready to begin her first work focus block. She closed her email app and silenced her phone, then opened her laptop. The presentation was for a significant new client who valued clear visuals and concise points. Emma believed that a good slide deck consisted of 3 elements: a strong headline, supporting data, and a memorable takeaway. She started by listing the main points: the client's goals, her team's recommendations, and potential next steps. As she wrote each bullet in her slide outline, she spoke the sentences softly to herself in English, checking pronunciation and clarity. "Our proposal offers a 70% increase in engagement," she whispered, making sure each word felt natural. Focusing without interruption, Emma worked steadily for 90 minutes. When her timer rang, she stretched, rolled her shoulders, and took a sip of water. She felt satisfaction to see a full outline of her presentation appear on the screen, 8 slides with draft titles. She saved her work and labeled the file Client Proposal Draft 1. Next, Emma opened her email inbox. She had prioritized only 5 important messages to answer today. She reasoned that answering every email as it arrived would waste mental energy. Instead, she would handle these 5 at once. She started with the first, a colleague asking for feedback on a report. Emma read quickly, then typed, "Hi Lisa, thank you for sending the report. I suggest adding a chart on page 3 to illustrate the trend. Also, please clarify the data source in the footnote. Let me know if you need anything else. Best wishes, Emma." She paused to ensure the tone was polite but direct. Once satisfied, she sent it and moved on. With each email, she spoke the response out loud in English before typing, reinforcing pronunciation and sentence structure. By 8:15 a.m., all 5 responses were complete. She closed her inbox and gave herself a mental high five. At 8:30 a.m., Emma allowed herself a 15-minute break. She stepped out onto her balcony, inhaled fresh morning air, and watched a couple of sparrows hopping on the railing. As she breathed deeply, she thought about how breaks refreshed her mind and body. She gave herself permission to relax just for a moment before diving back in. The next block was collaboration time with Jack on the marketing plan. Jack worked from another office, so they had scheduled a video call for 8:45 a.m. Emma opened her project file and reviewed the data she'd gathered last week: customer survey results and website analytics. When Jack appeared on her screen, they greeted each other in clear English. "Good morning, Jack. How are you today?" she asked, smiling. They discussed the data, identifying 3 key insights: customer interest in video content, peak engagement, times on social media, and potential demographic growth areas. Emma captured every point in a shared document, writing in English sentences like, "Customers preferred short video clips over long tutorials, and engagement was highest on weekdays at lunchtime." Speaking and writing in tandem helped solidify new vocabulary. By 10 a.m., their call ended with a plan. Jack would draft the social media calendar while Emma prepared visuals. They agreed to reconvene at 2 p.m. for feedback. Emma saved the document, closed the call, and felt proud. Another successful collaboration block. At 10:15 a.m., she transitioned to her learning block. She made a fresh cup of tea, sat at her desk, and opened her English course book to Chapter 6. This chapter focused on expressions for giving advice, such as, "You might want to," "It's a good idea to," and "Have you tried?" Emma read each dialogue aloud, then paused to write down 5 new example sentences in her notebook. You might want to set a timer for each task. It's a good idea to review your goals weekly. Have you tried using a planner app? You might want to start with the hardest task first. It's a good idea to take short breaks to stay focused. After writing, she covered her book and tried to recall each expression from memory. This active recall helped lock the phrases in her mind. She even recorded herself on her phone. You might want to, then checked her pronunciation, repeating until it sounded natural. Next, Emma watched a 15-minute English news clip about a new study on time management. The speaker explained how people who plan their day in advance feel less stress and more control. Emma listened for key phrases, pausing to jot them down. Plan in advance. Reduce stress. Boost productivity. She rewound the video when needed, imitating the speaker's intonation and rhythm. After watching, she summarized the clip in 2 short paragraphs in English. A recent study shows that planning the day in advance helps people feel calmer. When you write down tasks and schedule time for each one, you know exactly what to expect. The research also finds that people are more productive when they take short breaks. These breaks prevent burnout and help the brain stay sharp. Writing these sentences improved her reading, listening, and writing skills all at once. By 12 p.m., Emma's learning session was complete. She leaned back, closed her eyes for a moment, and reflected on how speaking, reading, and writing in English this morning had felt challenging, but rewarding. She noted in her planner that Chapter 6 was done, and that she would review these new expressions tomorrow. At 12:15 p.m., Emma took a well-deserved lunch break. She prepared a salad with colorful vegetables and whole grain bread. While eating, she scrolled through her phone to read comments on her social media post from last night's video. Lots of viewers had questions about time management tips. Inspired, she jotted down ideas for future stories, battling procrastination, the Pomodoro technique, and setting SMART goals. Quickly listing future topics reminded her that personal projects also needed planning. After lunch, Emma scheduled a 15-minute call with her language partner Marco at 1 p.m. They practiced the new advice expressions. Marco asked, "What advice would you give someone who always misses deadlines?" Emma replied, "You might want to break big tasks into smaller steps and schedule them." Marco then used, "It's a good idea to set reminders on your phone." Practicing with a real person boosted Emma's confidence and gave immediate feedback on pronunciation and grammar. At 1:30 p.m., Emma felt energized and ready for another work focus block. She opened her presentation draft and began designing the slides in her company's template. She chose simple graphics and consistent fonts. For the slide on key insights, she added a bar chart showing engagement growth. She labeled everything in English: engagement growth, January to April, and video content. As she worked, she narrated her actions aloud. "I'm inserting a bar chart here to illustrate the data clearly." Speaking English while working helped keep her mind tuned to the language. At 3:30 p.m., Emma shifted back to her personal block. She rolled out her yoga mat in the living room and followed a 20-minute online yoga session in English. The instructor's voice guided her. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. Extend your arms toward the ceiling. Practicing yoga in English combined movement with language learning, reinforcing new verbs and body-related vocabulary. After yoga, Emma felt calm and centered. She changed into fresh clothes and set off to meet her friend Sarah at a cozy cafe downtown. The cafe's door chimed as Emma entered. Sarah waved from a corner table. "Hi, Emma," Sarah called, hugging her. They ordered coffee and a slice of carrot cake. Over warm mugs, they chatted about their days. Emma deliberately used new expressions. "It's a good idea to focus on one task at a time," she told Sarah, explaining her time-blocking method. Sarah listened and nodded, impressed by Emma's fluency. They talked for an hour, sharing stories and laughter. This social time was critical. It reminded Emma that productivity without personal connection felt incomplete. She was practicing English, deepening her friendships, and relaxing, all at once. At 5 p.m., Emma returned home. She sipped water and prepared her final task, reading for pleasure. She curled up with her favorite novel, The Little Prince in English, reading a chapter before bed. The simple, poetic language offered a gentle end to a full day. As she read, she noticed new words like enchanted and curiosity. She wrote them down, planning to look up meanings tomorrow. By 6:30 p.m., Emma closed her book, turned off the lights, and reflected on the day. She remembered her lesson: clear priorities, dedicated time blocks, short breaks, and real conversations make all the difference. Her planner for tomorrow already felt ready. As the city lights glowed outside her window, Emma drifted towards sleep, confident that tomorrow she would speak, work, and live with focus and balance. She'd shown herself that managing time well was not about squeezing every moment, but about giving each task its due attention and then letting it go. The next morning, Emma woke at 5:45 a.m. Today, she planned to refine her week's overview, focusing not only on daily tasks but also on longer-term goals. She sat at her desk with her planner open and a cup of warm tea. Above her workspace, a printed weekly calendar hung on the wall. Each day had 3 colored stripes: green for work, blue for English study and yellow for personal life. Emma decided to fill in that calendar before starting anything else. First, for work, she noted the major deadlines. Wednesday, finalize the client presentation. Thursday, submit the marketing plan to her manager. Friday, lead the team brainstorming session. For learning, she set these weekly goals. Complete 2 chapters of her English book. Have 3 conversations with her language partner. Write 1 full-page journal entry in English each evening. For personal, she planned, attend her yoga class on Thursday evening. Spend Saturday morning at the park with friends. Read 2 chapters of her novel this week. By outlining the week on Monday, Emma felt empowered. She knew exactly what to expect, and she could manage time blocks around these items. She also noted her weekly theme in her journal: steady progress. This theme reminded her that small, consistent steps could lead to big improvements. At 6:30 a.m., Emma began her first work session, polishing her client presentation. She reviewed the draft she had created the day before and asked herself, what can make this deck clearer? She spotted one slide with too much text. Instead of a long paragraph, she broke it into 3 bullet points. 1. Challenge: low engagement rates. 2. Insight: video content boosts interaction. 3. Solution: weekly short-form videos. Speaking each point aloud in English, challenge, low engagement rates, helped her practice pronunciation and ensure clarity. She replaced the paragraph with a simple graphic, 3 icons representing each bullet. She knew that visuals combined with speech were more memorable. At 8 a.m., Emma paused. She checked her phone. 15 minutes remained before her next task. Instead of scrolling social media, she chose a productive micro-break. She stood up, walked around her apartment, and did a neck stretch. As she stretched, she practiced a time management phrase in English: take micro-breaks to recharge. Repeating this sentence fixed the new vocabulary in her mind. At 8:15 a.m., she silenced her phone again and opened her email. Today, she aimed to clear her inbox completely except for newsletters. She set a timer for 30 minutes and tackled each message. For short questions, she replied immediately. For longer requests, she flagged them for a later email block. This method prevented her from drifting away into long replies. By 8:45 a.m., her inbox was almost empty. She smiled. Nothing felt better than inbox zero. Her next calendar entry was a short call with her colleague Maya at 9 a.m. to discuss the marketing plan draft. Before the call, Emma reviewed her notes in English. We want to target young adults. Let's increase the social media budget. Can you provide more data on email campaigns? At 9 a.m., Maya's face appeared on the screen. After quick greetings, "Good morning, Maya. How are you?" They jumped into the agenda. Emma spoke clearly. I recommend we focus on Instagram stories for younger audiences. I've seen a 20% higher engagement there. Maya nodded, and they decided to allocate more resources accordingly. The call ended in 10 minutes, efficient and productive. At 9:15 a.m., Emma rewarded herself with a 10-minute English vocabulary game on her phone. Instead of random apps, she chose one focused on time management words. She matched phrases like set a boundary, batch similar tasks, and review weekly progress. Each correct match gave a small celebration sound, and she laughed at how satisfying learning could be. At 9:30 a.m., she switched to her learning block. Emma opened Chapter 7 of her English course, which taught conditional sentences. If I had time, I would... And when you finish work, you can... She read 2 dialogues aloud. Anna: If I had more free time, I would learn a new language. Jack, when you finish work today, you can join my book club. She covered the sentences and tried to repeat them from memory, then checked her accuracy. Next, she recorded herself saying 3 of these sentences on her phone and played them back to notice any mispronunciations. Hearing her own voice helped her adjust intonation and stress. At 10:15 a.m., Emma took a break. She made herself a cup of herbal tea and stepped onto her balcony. The breeze was cool and she closed her eyes, listening to the distant sounds of traffic. She breathed in deeply and thought in English. Taking a short break helps me stay focused. This mindful practice reinforced her language learning and gave her a moment of calm. Back at her desk at 10:30 a.m., Emma had scheduled a 30-minute planning session for the rest of the week. She looked ahead to Thursday when she would attend a virtual conference on digital marketing. To prepare, she listed 3 questions to ask presenters, key topics to watch for, audience engagement, content strategy, and analytics tools. Time slots in her calendar to watch live sessions. She wrote these items in her planner and set calendar reminders in English. Attend session on analytics, 2 p.m. Thursday. Speaking the reminder out loud, attend session on analytics, helped cement the phrase. At 11 a.m., Emma shifted back to work. She joined Jack's video call to review the social media calendar he had drafted. Together, they shared screens. Jack explained, I scheduled 3 posts per week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Emma responded, That's great. Could we add short videos on Wednesday to boost engagement? Jack agreed, and they updated the calendar together. After the call, Emma sent a quick email summary. Hi, Jack. Thanks for the great session. I updated Wednesday to include a 30-second video post. Let me know if you'd like any feedback. Best wishes, Emma. By handling collaboration and follow-up in English, Emma was improving her business writing skills too. At 12 p.m., Emma's stomach rumbled. Lunchtime. She decided to cook a simple stir-fry. While chopping vegetables, she spoke to herself in English. Chop the carrots into thin slices and add oil to the pan and heat it. Talking through each step made cooking fun and educational. After lunch, she sat down with her meal and her novel in English. Reading a chapter while eating gave her a relaxing, low-pressure way to absorb language. At 1 p.m., Emma had a scheduled call with her language partner, Marco. They planned to practice the new conditional sentences. Marco asked, What would you do if you had 2 hours free tomorrow? Emma answered, If I had 2 hours free, I would review chapters 8 and 9 and practice speaking. Then Emma asked Marco, When you finish your shift at work, what can you do to relax? Marco replied, When I finish work, I can go for a walk or cook dinner. These real-life questions and answers strengthened Emma's confidence. At 1:45 p.m., Emma shifted focus again to work. She realized she still needed to prepare for Friday's team brainstorming session. She opened a new document titled Brainstorm Ideas and set a timer for 30 minutes of free writing. Without stopping to edit, she listed potential themes, interactive workshops, guest speaker sessions, and team-building challenges. Speaking aloud as she wrote, Ideas flow best when I write them down quickly, helped her verbal fluency. When the timer rang, Emma selected the top 5 ideas and turned each into a short sentence in English. 1. We can organize an interactive workshop on time management. 2. A guest speaker could share productivity tips. 3. Team building. Challenges can boost morale. 4. We should include a segment on stress reduction. 5. Let's gather feedback after each activity. She emailed this document to her manager with a brief note. Here are 5 ideas for Friday's session. Let me know your thoughts. At 3 p.m., Emma scheduled her final learning block of the day. She chose to do a short writing exercise. A one-page journal entry about today's accomplishments and tomorrow's goals. Writing in a diary style helped her practice past and future tenses. She wrote, "Today, I completed my client presentation and cleared my inbox. I spoke in English during 3 video calls and learned conditional sentences. Tomorrow, I will work on Chapter 8, prepare for the virtual conference, and go to yoga in the evening." At 5:30 p.m., Emma began her evening routine. She prepared a light dinner, then reviewed her planner for tomorrow. She moved any unfinished tasks to the next day, adjusted time blocks, and set new priorities. Finally, she spent 15 minutes meditating, repeating a mantra in English. I am calm, focused, and balanced. Before bed, Emma reflected on her day. She had improved her presentation with clearer visuals, practiced conditional sentences and new vocabulary, collaborated effectively with colleagues in English, cooked, read, and painted, all while speaking or thinking in English. She realized that using time blocks, clear goals, and mindful breaks not only made her more productive, but also turned everyday activities into language learning opportunities. With a satisfied smile, Emma turned off the lights, ready for another balanced day tomorrow. Hello again, everyone. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more stories that improve your English and teach you useful life skills. Now, let's join Emma for the final part of her journey, how she continues to balance work, learning, and personal life with smart time management. Emma woke up at 6:15 a.m. on Saturday. Weekends were her time to relax, but she still wanted to practice English and stay organized. She stretched in bed, then reached for her planner. On the weekly calendar, she saw her goals for Saturday. Work. Prepare an outline for next week's report. Learning. Review chapters 8 and 9 of her English course. Personal. Meet friends in the park and paint landscape sketches. Although it was Saturday, Emma treated these goals gently. She called them soft commitments. Unlike weekdays, she allowed flexibility. This approach kept her motivated without feeling restricted. By 6:45 a.m., Emma was at her desk with a cup of green tea. She opened her laptop and began her work session. Next week, she would need to analyze customer feedback for a new product launch. Today, she planned to outline the report sections. 1. Introduction, Purpose and Scope 2. Methodology. Survey. Design and Sample 3. Findings, Key Insights, and Data Analysis 4. Recommendations, Next Steps for the Product Team 5. Conclusion, Summary and Future Outlook. She wrote each heading in her document and added 2 bullet points under each. As she typed, she narrated in English. This section explains the purpose. Here I describe the survey method. Speaking softly to herself kept her mind on the language. Within an hour, she had a complete outline saved as Feedback Report Outline. At 7:45 a.m., Emma paused for a 10-minute break. She practiced a breathing exercise she had learned in yoga. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4. While breathing, she silently repeated in English, I feel calm and ready. This simple affirmation set a positive tone for her day. At 8 a.m., she transitioned to her learning block. Emma opened Chapter 8 of her course book, which covered phrasal verbs commonly used at work: follow up, set up, carry out, and wrap up. She read each example. Dialogue aloud. Manager: can you follow up with the client about their feedback? Emma: sure, I will follow up by end of day. She paused to write 5 new sentences using these phrasal verbs. I need to set up a meeting with the marketing team. We will carry out the survey next week. Please wrap up your presentation by Thursday. I must follow up on the old project documents. He will set up the new software tomorrow. Emma covered her sentences and then tried to recall each from memory. After checking, she recorded herself speaking 3 of them and listened back, adjusting her stress on carry out and wrap up. This practice helped her sound more natural. At 9 a.m., Emma took a 15-minute break to check her messages. Instead of scrolling indefinitely, she read 2 short news articles in English about time management apps. She learned about a new feature in one app that tracks focus time. She saved the article link for future reference and noted in her planner, explore Focus Tracker app tomorrow. At 9:15 a.m., Emma met her friend David for a walking meeting. They strolled through the nearby park. As they walked, Emma spoke in English about her week. I completed my outline and learned new phrasal verbs, she said. David practiced too, replying, I wrap up work early on Fridays. The fresh air, friendly chat, and English practice made the morning delightful. At 10 a.m., Emma returned home and switched to personal creative time. She set up her easel in the sunlit corner of her living room and sketched trees and the city skyline. As she painted, she labeled her actions in English. Add a light wash of blue to the sky and use short strokes for leaf textures. Creative activities like painting doubled as language practice and stress relief. By 11:30 a.m., Emma felt grounded. She cleaned her brushes and prepared a light brunch. While cooking, she described each step aloud. Chop tomatoes into cubes, heat the pan, and add olive oil. These running commentaries kept her mind active in English without pressure. After eating, Emma moved to her learning session at 12:30 p.m. She chose to watch a 20-minute webinar in English on effective goal setting. She took notes on key phrases, SMART goals, measurable outcomes, and action steps. Pausing every few minutes, she repeated each phrase aloud. SMART goals mean specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. By summarizing the content in her own words, she reinforced both comprehension and speaking skills. At 1 p.m., Emma set a timer for 30 minutes to review Chapter 9 of her course, which dealt with modal verbs for polite requests. Could, would, may, and might. She read sample sentences. Could you send me the data by tomorrow? Would you mind reviewing this slide? Then she wrote her own polite questions. Could you share your feedback on my outline? Would you mind helping me practice pronunciation? May I join your study group next week? I might need extra time to complete this task. Writing polite questions reminded Emma that language is not just about grammar, but also about respect and tone. She read each question aloud, focusing on intonation. At 1:45 p.m., Emma took a midday break. She lay on a yoga mat and practiced basics, stretches, cat-cow, downward dog, and child's pose, following an English instructional video. Listening to directions like, inhale as you arch your back, helped her connect physical movement with listening skills. At 2:15 p.m., Emma turned back to work. She opened her email and found 5 follow-up messages from colleagues. Because she had practiced polite requests, she responded clearly. Hi, David. Thank you for the feedback on my outline. I will update the introduction as suggested. Best regards, Emma. Each response took under 2 minutes. She spoke each email aloud before sending, practicing polite phrasing and business vocabulary. At 2:45 p.m., Emma used 15 minutes to explore the Focus Tracker app she had noted earlier. She installed it on her phone and set up a trial. The app asked her to define tasks and suggested time blocks. Emma entered outline report for a 45-minute block. She then practiced saying, "Start focus session," and tapped begin. Seeing a countdown on her phone helped her focus without watching the clock. By 3:15 p.m., the session ended with a gentle chime. Emma felt surprised that time passed quickly when she was fully engaged. She checked her planner. She had one final task: prepare for tonight's social meetup. At 3:30 p.m., Emma got ready to go out. She packed her notebook, a pen, and a small phrase book of new English expressions. She was meeting a group of fellow English learners at a cafe for conversation practice. This weekly meetup was called English Hour. Each participant brought a topic to discuss. At 4 p.m., Emma arrived at the cafe. The group greeted each other. "Hello, Emma. How are you?" They sat in a circle. Today's theme was overcoming procrastination. Each person shared tips in English. Emma spoke clearly. "I overcome procrastination by setting a timer for each task. When the timer rings, I take a short break." Another learner said, "I might make a to-do list the night before." Emma replied, "That's a good idea. It helps you start right away in the morning." They practiced asking questions. "Could you explain how you use timers?" And, "Would you mind sharing your list method?" Role-playing polite requests and follow-ups made the conversation dynamic and realistic. At 5:30 p.m., Emma said goodbye and walked home, thinking in English about the discussion. Social learning helped her apply what she studied alone. Back at home by 6 p.m., Emma prepared a simple dinner. While cooking, she reflected on her weekend workflow. She realized that even on a Saturday, she could blend work preparation, English learning, and personal enjoyment without stress. By treating goals as soft commitments, she maintained freedom and joy. At 7 p.m., Emma reviewed her planner for Sunday. She decided on a rest and review day. Work, no major tasks, just file organization. Learning, review all new vocabulary and expressions from the week. Personal, long walk by the river and evening movie in English. With this plan, she ensured that Sunday would be restorative yet productive. Setting a rest and review day prevented burnout and encouraged reflection. At 8 p.m., Emma curled up with her novel. She read in English until 9 p.m., noting new words and phrases. Before bed, she journaled one last time. "This week, I learned phrasal verbs, modal verbs, and conditional sentences. I outlined my work report, painted 2 sketches, and met my language group. Next week, I will explore new study methods and attend a virtual conference." She read her entry aloud, then closed her journal. As she lay in bed, she mentally recited her mantra. "I balance work, learning, and life with ease." This positive affirmation in English reinforced her progress. Emma drifted off to sleep with a sense of accomplishment. She had discovered that effective time management was not about rigid schedules, but about conscious choices, prioritizing tasks, using short breaks, blending learning into everyday life. and setting gentle goals. By integrating English practice into every activity, she turned her entire week into a language immersion experience.